I said, you're out here, no album out?
No album out.
No album out?
They're topping the charts, those too.
And they're close. And Ariana loves her some Normani.
Yes,
loves her some Normani. You know, she has a writing credit on Motivation, which is amazing. And it's crazy that Motivation was Ariana Grande's song. Like, she did a whole demo for it, and it sounded great. It sounded amazing, you know. But she was like, nah, I'm gonna give it to my sister. I'm gonna give it to my girl. And I loved it. I loved it. So Waves. Let's talk about Waves. You know,
wow, Waves was the reset. Waves was the reset. We saw her getting into some very alternative, dark R&B. At first listen, I was like, okay, I can see you going in this direction. I really seen her. I wanted to see at that point her expanding that sound more, right?
It gave Full Moon vibes. That's just the
ambiance and the aesthetic.
Yes. Not necessarily the sound fully, but I'm just gonna say,
not the sound fully. Maybe more evolved, maybe a more now sound of what Full Moon will sound like now.
Right. But it was giving a full, like, I saw her vision in the sense of
yes, it was very clear. It was very clear.
It was very clear. I loved this moon, this blue, this Afro. It's touching Afrofuturism. It's like
just a little bit, absolutely.
And I just loved that element that she was.
I love the direction,
and I had never seen that in a newer artist. Now I saw it a lot with with Brandy, Aaliyah. A lot of them had that Afro peak in futurism. Even Eve, like had that Afro peak in futurism, and I just loved everything that came across when it came from that, just because it was something that Blacks, in music had not been able to see and had not been able to fully wrap their head around, in the sense of, oh, this is something that we can tackle. This is something that we can come on.
This is something that we can do too, and do it better. We can do it better. This is where it originated from. Let's be clear.
Let's talk about it. That's another story for another day. But, that set up the tone. I think Waves set the tone, and we're like, okay, we get this. Yeah. We know that she's going to be an alternative R&B artist in some capacity. So then we get into...
Then she switched it up again.
Switched it up again.
It's crazy though, because at a point I was like, I was confused by the direction, but now looking back into it, she was really giving us different genres.
With the Calvin Harris pack, which was straight pop.
Yeah.
And it was because Checklist is still on my
It's pop, it's dance. It's pop and it's dance.
I want to know VVS. Okay, so that should have been marketed. That should have been pushed in the summer.
Yeah.
Like that should have been.
It definitely wasn't pushed enough.
Yes, and even the song that's the other song that's on there was a very nice, smooth pop song. Like it wasn't something that I would see on the radio. It wasn't something that I would see promoted, but it's something that would fill in that same thing and say, okay, she can do this too. And but really, it was the Sam Smith collaboration that really put
Dancing
her
with the Strangers, that gave her wow, that welcomed her kind of into the pop sphere all the way,
like
really it solidified her star power at that point.
Yes,
absolutely.
Because Sam Smith was emerging. We love he was
he had been there for a time, but
he was more ballad. It was more sad, and it was more deep and acoustic. And now we're getting. I mean, look at his last era. His last era was just like
a lot
over the top, androgynous. It was great. So this was that escalation that you could see within his music, that he was going into more of mainstream pop. It was very much hitting those 808s and hitting those beats that he didn't really have in the beginning of his career, but now he's doing it with another artist that's also emerging, and they're peaking not at the same time, but they're also very much elevated in this sound, which I felt like
they're kind of like trying a new sound, and they both tried a new sound, and it ended up really good. They ended up succeeding,
blending very well,
absolutely,
blending very well on the song. And I think that was one reason that I still play the song to this day because it's just a really good song.
It's
And also
good.
it's nostalgic. Like it's that 2019 peak, you know, pre-COVID. So I know like I still reminisce on pre-COVID music just because the shift in music in 2020,
the shift in the industry as a whole
was crazy. You know, it was something that we had never seen before. So, you know, understanding that tone of music before that shift is still good, like to reminisce and still to capture and see what artists were doing and making before they were locked down and they started to emerge in other realms of music. So in that 2019 break, baby, OMG, we get the song. We get the song.
That was the supreme of the year.
Top single attached to no album.
I'm upset though because justice for that song. We didn't get enough for that song.
And I would say she had an early, you know,
it was lots of stumbling and falling. Not stumbling and falling.
The release was fine.
The release was perfect. The release was perfect. Everything after the video, I think it just, to me,
but you have to think
after the MTV Awards, it plummeted for me.
But let me tell you something. Even in that MTV Awards, there was issue. You know, MTV. I love MTV. I think we've all grown up on MTV, and we still have love for MTV, even now in the space that it's not even music focused anymore. That's on y'all's branding and marketing. Sorry, but in the sense of MTV, they did the same thing with Victoria Monet. You know, to me, I think this was kind of like a preempt to Victoria. You know, this song was airplay. This song was everywhere. The song was the song of that.
It blew up on social media.
It blew up on social media, blew up everywhere. And I just think for her to not be in the initial lineup for performance, you know, is crazy.
Oh, they weren't going to have her perform?
Not even immediately. She had to put that performance together very quickly. Not like in the same time frame as the other artists had to do that. And the same thing with Wildside.
Okay, I don't know. I didn't know that about Motivation. I definitely knew that for Wildside. They said that she was not going to perform Wildside, and then she ended up performing.
Doing
it. She did it. Oh, that pissed me off because that performance was great. It was great, but the way that it could have went probably would have been better.
The same way with I feel about Motivation. It's like I feel like that should have pushed them to do more. And I could be wrong. You know, I could say that like everything went smoothly, but in the sense of like how to market this artist. This is a new artist with a hot song. It's MTV Music Awards. She has a great music video. Y'all should be putting a lot of backing into sense of how this goes. And it wasn't until the result of how the performance ended until they started wanting to market it more. You know, of course, putting it on YouTube, pushing it out, and making sure that the song was doing well so that they can revert to the music video. So I think it's subjective. You know, I think that's, you know, I don't know if they didn't see Normani being fully there, but I felt like that was a pivotal statement to say everybody's eyes on Normani right now.
That was a moment in pop culture. Everybody had their eyes on Normani. We knew. Everybody knew that she was.
Everybody knew. She was the moment. And, you know, she had Wildside. Diamonds came after that.
So
was another single with her and Megan. Didn't really do so hot. I mean, I don't think it was marketed. It was a soundtrack song for, I believe, Birds and the Prey.
That song.
It's not a cute song to me, but it's an album song. You know, it's a soundtrack for the film, and you know the film did really well. Actually,
it was a mess.
So then we get to the peak single,